Is there, on the 506C, is there a limit to how many investors I can bring in to that in general, even if they're all accredited?
Yeah, it's 2,000, so that's not going to be an issue. The other thing we should talk about, when you're doing a 506C, not only do you have to limit yourself to accredited investors only, you have to take what we call reasonable steps to verify that they're accredited. That typically means you can't just take their word for it, right? We're not going to give them a questionnaire where they just check a box and we're good. Somebody's going to have to be reviewing tax returns or assets, or depending on how they're claiming to be accredited. What almost all of our clients do, and really we insist on, is that we hire a third-party verification company. And they're relatively inexpensive. They're literally $50, $60, $70 an investor. And they will handle that whole compliance nonsense for us. And they will go and upload W-2s or upload tax returns or look at bank statements, whatever it is that they need to do to verify that they're accredited, they will do. And so there's a couple of outfits out there, but we need some kind of verification company that we can simply say, hey, oh, you want to invest, you send us $100,000 or whatever, please now talk to so-and-so so that you can then provide whatever documentation. The easiest way is a CPA verification letter. If you can get their CPA to provide it, a lot of CPAs are pushing back because they don't want the liability. But theoretically, a CPA, a letter from their CPA that just says, "Hey, I do this person's taxes. I know he's accredited. They make more than $200,000 a year, and they can just sign that letter." That's good. If not, have them go through these outfits. They end up having an attorney review, and we have an attorney letter that comes back to us. We don't get to see their financials, so that's one of the selling points that you can tell your investors, especially if you don't know them. We're not going to have access to any of your financials. It's going to be a third party. An attorney is going to review it, and we're just going to get a letter from the attorney saying, "Hey, we've done the process, we've verified, and I'm telling you, Johnny is an accredited investor."
Mauricio, you and I are both part of like really, really high level masterminds and people that have a lot of influence. And so I get people that come to me frequently and go, "Look, man, I'm not a deal finder. I'm never going to go out and find deals. I'm never going to manage deals. I'm never going to manage employees, but I have a lot of influence and I can sway people to invest in deals with you. Is there a way I can carve out some sort of equity with you if I bring people to the table? How do I structure a relationship like that?"
You can't.
There's no way around it.
The only way you can do that is if that person that's referring you, the investor, is either a broker dealer or is a registered investment advisor that hangs their license under a broker dealer. So you're ultimately paying that referral fee or that commission to the broker dealer company. The way that most people, I don't want to say get around it because it sounds like it's something nefarious, but the way we avoid, let's put it that way, the way you avoid becoming or being considered a broker dealer is to either join the sponsorship team. So I come alongside both, Pace and Cody, and Mauricio is now the third co-sponsor in this deal, and I'm performing what we call substantial duties, helping out however I can help out. And then, once I do that, then my list is as good as your list, and we can use all of our lists. But I have to perform substantial duties. You have to do real work, basically, right? And you still can't pay me based on how much money I bring in. You're paying me, that 80-20 split that 20% that we talked about, instead of being, 10% to you, 10% to Cody, I might get 2% of that. Maybe.
Got it. Okay. So if I knew somebody is like, "Look, I just know everybody in town. They are always asking me to invest in deals, but I'm not actively looking for deals anymore. And I wanted that person's Rolodex." I would have to have two things. One, they would have to be part of my sponsorship team, which means they would have to be part owner of that 20%. They would be front facing, meaning they could pull up the company's website and they would see that person's name as part of the sponsorship team. And then two, they would actually have to perform some sort of duties. Like, maybe I'll throw this out there. Maybe it's something like they are verifying that people are actually accredited, and they're doing the duty of taking people through that process. Or what would they be doing?
No, it's got to be substantial. I mean, even just being an investor relations person, think of it this way. Once the deal closes, right? So you've finished the raise, you've bought the property. What are they doing now? Are they doing anything? Are they asset managing? Are they helping you go down and, what are they doing after you close? Because if they're doing all this little work on the front end, and then once it closes, they're no longer involved, then that's probably not going to work either.
Okay.
Right. The one thing you could do, and I hate to even sometimes go in there because there's no exemption at the federal level, but theoretically, if you're really careful, and this would literally be, it's hard to do with hypotheticals because it's facts and circumstances, but you could get paid. The reason it came up because you just mentioned that thing. You could get paid not to raise capital that list that you mentioned, you could become a finder, right? So if you can be a finder, if I said, Pace, I'll pay you $10,000 for that list that you just mentioned, right? I'll pay you $10,000 if you give me that list. And then obviously with that list, I can do whatever I want with an email people and spam them or do whatever I wanted to do. Then you're not getting paid to raise capital. You're getting paid for access to that list. The problem is it's rare. Most of the time that doesn't work. Most of the time there's going to be some kind of interaction.
The value of the list is actually the introduction to that list.
That's right. So the introduction is the tricky part, right? Because now, are you recommending securities? That's where you really get tight into that gray line of crossing over to being a broker, acting as a broker, because you're making an introduction. Again, theoretically, if all they said was, Pace, please meet Johnny. Johnny's looking to invest, and I know you have a deal. I'll let you guys connect from there. A little bit of a gray area, but not a little bit, a lot of a gray area. But there's an argument to be made that, well, I'm not getting paid to raise money. I'm paying for the introduction. But the problem is people can't help themselves, right? So they'll say, oh, this is Pace. He's a really good spot, right there. Boom, I just crossed the line because I'm saying sponsors. Pace got a really good deal. Pace is a great guy. So it becomes a really gray area. And like I said, some states even have a registered finders, but they don't have anything like that at the federal level. So you're always risking even the feds.
Okay, so the way around this, or not even around this, the way to just do it right is if somebody comes in and says, hey, I've got relationships that have money. The only caveat to that is that those people, whoever brings that in and have ownership in the sponsorship team, have to do activities beyond the closing of the property. Could be maybe running all the financials and handling all the documentation and running the books, filing the taxes, doing all that stuff.